Dear peoples of Taiwan and peoples of the world, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to speak today. What I am about to say is in fact not the official position of Japan, nor does it prescribe the future state of Japan. However, I would like to describe what would happen if Japan were able to implement the best case scenario regarding Taiwan, taking into account the reality that Red China is exerting extremely severe pressure on Taiwan. Please listen carefully. First, the liberal camp will assist, encourage, and promote the breakup of Russia or Communist China at the national level. In the case of Communist China, the liberal movements in areas such as Tibet, Uyghur, Southern Mongolia, and Manchuria, which are currently under effective control, or in Taiwan, which aspires for independence. In this way, we will be able to maintain friendly relations with the new countries once these areas become independent. It is expected that the breakup of one side of China or Russia will spread to the other. Japan should follow the example of the United States, enact its own version of the Taiwan Relation Act, making it possible to provide Japanese-made defense equipment, including ships and their construction technology, to Taiwan. From there, it should take steps to recognize Taiwan as a nation when it is in step with Europe and the United States. Furthermore, Japan should take the initiative to establish collective self-defense rights and conduct joint military exercise, including with Palau and the Marshall Islands, which have established diplomatic relations with Taiwan, and the Federated States of Micronesia, the three former South Sea administration countries, which are considering establishing diplomatic relations with Taiwan. As a practical matter, these things are currently progressing very slowly in the face of Red China's military concerns about Taiwan. However, joint training between the Taiwan Coast Guard and Japan Coast Guard has already been established. In short, both sides will need the determination to expand this to a wider range. Second, I would like to add one more note on this matter. There are indeed few countries with which Taiwan has formal diplomatic relations. However, among them, there are some that overlap with Japan's diplomatic partners. The closest country would be the Republic of Palau. This is more of a suggestion to those in diplomatic relations with Japan and Taiwan. But why not have Japan and Taiwan conduct diplomacy so such a third country? Also based on the example of Japan's decision to transfer defense equipment to Mongolia, Japan will actively transfer defense equipment to the countries in the Northeast Asian region after Russia breaks up. It is desirable to do so to develop countries that share values. Also, a Pacific version of NATO, Pacific Treaty Organization, will be established with Taiwan, the United States, Australia, New Zealand, the Philippines, and the newly formed nation of Kamchatka. This will completely turn the Pacific into an ocean of freedom. By dismantling and demilitarizing Russia, the world's #1 nuclear power, and Communist China, the third, the denuclearization of the former Russian-controlled area will be realized under the leadership of the liberal camp. The elimination of 2 nuclear weapon-holding authoritarian countries will ultimately contribute to global nuclear disarmament. This should be communicated to the world by liberal countries that are constantly exposed to military threat from Russia and Communist China, and by Japan, a country what was the victim of atomic bombings. Or when Russia is completely weakened by its recent invasion of Ukraine, the liberal camps of Japan, the United States, and Europe could, in some cases, once again carry out military intervention in Northeast Asia, so-called Russia Far East, following the example of Siberian intervention in 1918 and the liberation of the various ethnic groups. This would allow Japan, the United States, and Europe to establish base of interest in the area formerly under Russian control and put them in a very advantageous position to modernize and negotiate trade with the new nations mentioned above. At last, this is our idea of compensation. But the land and property of the nations lost in the areas occupied by Russia will be restored to their original state. All assets from the former Russian period outside the new Moscovia will be confiscated, transferred, and distributed by Ukraine, the new nations of the Caucasus and Northeast Asia. And of course, our homeland, Karafuto and Tsushima, will be returned to Japan. We are not seeking excessive territorial allocation, but are simply following Japan's homeland. Thank you.